How do we do this in terms of equipping the police to give them the equipment to take these biometrics, because we know the police do not have this equipment?
Yeah, we must begin to make laws that are futuristic. We must begin to make laws that look at a developed society. You know, we can't continue making laws that will stagnate us where we are. What we're trying to say is that why should our police not be able to take fingerprints of people? Why should our police not even be able to do DNA tests? You understand? It's done world over. You know, we cannot continue remaining stagnant the way we are. You understand? So we're going to put these laws to test. We'll debate all these issues on the floor of the National Assembly. And at the end of the day, when these laws are passed, it will compel the police to do what they need to do. Because if there's a law like that and the police is coming up with their budget, they need to include those things in the budget. And of course, they will come before the National Assembly again with that same budget and we'll pass it, giving them the wherewithal to do what they need to do. You know, we are here for them. As well as we make these laws, we're also here to give them what it takes for them to do their work properly.
This bill, when passed, hopefully, will it be adopted by states like the VAP and the Child Rights Act?
I think it's going to be a law which will be universal. I don't think it's necessarily going to be adopted by states, but states that want to adopt and domicile this law are free to do so using their state houses of assembly. You understand? Some of these things are things that the states can do in concurrence with the National Assembly. But basically, we're not amending any section of the Constitution. We're just making this legislation. So once the Senate and the House of Rep pass this into law, it becomes, and is signed by the president, of course, it becomes effective. So any state that wants to properly domicile it can do that through their houses of assembly. That's why I said, going by this legislation, we also intend to strengthen the police in line with what the law provides. If the police does not have the equipment, all they need to do is to see how they can procure some of these equipments. You know, if we set up an agency, for instance, that would monitor these sexual offenders, what we're saying is that we'll equip that agency, give them all the tools they need to carry out their assignment. And if this agency is going to be doing their work state by state, of course they will need equipment, of course they will need all of this. And this law will enable them come to the National Assembly to say, okay, we need you to include this in our budget so that we can procure some of these items in line with the law that you've passed. You know, and once they come to the National Assembly asking us for the resources, we'll provide the resources for them so that they can properly do their work.
Now this list, the sexual offenders list, which this bill is mainly about, is it going to be made public in states, in the police stations? How is it going to work?
It works in such a way that there are certain people that have the right to know, to have the information that so and so person is a sexual offender and this person is within your vicinity. For instance, like I said, schools, places where minors would often be found, need to know that so and so person is a sexual offender. Recreational facilities, they need to know that a sexual offender is around your vicinity and probably would want to use your recreational facilities. So that way you can properly put an eye on this person. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So what we're saying is that certain bodies that need to know of the presence of a sexual offender in their vicinity would be given that information.
At what stage is this bill in the House of Representatives, and how do you intend to engage with your colleagues to ensure that this bill is passed? Over time, we've seen that bills of this nature usually meet some form of opposition in Parliament. Some of them linger in the National Assembly for years without being passed. So how are you going to ensure that this bill passes before the expiration of the 8th Assembly?
Well, we'll do all we need to do. You know, when sponsoring a bill, if you sponsor a bill and you're laid back about it, if you don't properly educate persons as to the importance of this bill and as to the reason why this bill should pass, people are not adequately informed. They could go to the floor and probably not speak in favor of your bill or even speak against it for want of adequate information, and then the bill will fail. So what we're doing now, talking to Nigerians about the importance of this bill, is one of those things we'll be doing to ensure that this bill passes. We'll do a lot of advocacy, we'll talk to our colleagues, we'll get them to see the importance of passing this bill into law. It's my hope that because of how important this bill is to our young ones, that it will pass into law. You know, we'll debate it on the floor of the House. We'll get well-meaning Nigerians to see how important this bill is to our country, and then we'll hope that at the end of the day it's passed into law.
You talk about advocacy. Are you reaching out to non-governmental organizations and civil rights groups who are experienced in this issue, issues of child abuse and sexual abuse of children, to get their inputs?
Yeah, like you rightly asked, the first question you asked is what stage is this bill at? The bill has not even gone through the first reading yet. We've just sent it to the Rules and Business for them to schedule it for first reading. It's my hope that once it's scheduled for first reading, we'll continue or we'll start some robust engagement with these civil society groups, with these advocacy groups, so that we can get Nigerians to know the importance of this bill, and then we can get our colleagues to key into it and support its passage into law.
And are you optimistic that this bill will be passed before the expiration of the 8th Assembly?
I'm very hopeful, and I'm happy that we've started early. The 8th Assembly still has well over a year to go. So I'm hopeful that by the time we come back from recess, the bill would have gone through first reading, and then we'll start work to ensure that it passes not only at the House of Reps, but also passes at the Senate.